Continuing our coverage of the CDK Global restoration process, we're joined by Jonathan Jordan, who's the Director of Retail Strategy at JM&A, to give us his perspective on what this means for the industry moving forward and how these dealers are going to, re-up and get all this information back into their systems. So, Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you, Jim.
Sure. So this has been quite a week, this last week, in terms of what we've seen, the last couple of weeks, really. But, dealers are still trying to figure this whole thing out. What are some of the key takeaways for you on this? In charge, and I know that you're in charge of retail strategy for JM&A, working with hundreds, if not thousands, of dealers all over the country. You're probably getting a lot of phone calls.
Yeah, we are, for sure. We're hearing from a lot of our dealers. And I think the first thing I'll say, Jim, is this really, once again, highlights the resiliency of dealers.
Yeah.
I mean, after, I would say, a few hours, once we realized, hey, this is real, this is going to go on for a while, and especially on day two, where we kind of thought it was back up and then it went back down, dealers really rolled up their sleeves. They figured it out, and they're selling cars, they're servicing cars, they're selling parts. And, I couldn't say enough about not only dealers, but the frontline dealership associates who have just, gotten scrappy and figured out how to provide a good customer experience and keep business moving, even when a key part, of their operations just is non-existent.
Sure. As CDK restores the systems, what are some of your recommendations for your dealer clients moving forward?
I think the first thing is to really take a step back and look at everything that you've done, throughout this outage, and make sure everything's accounted for properly. Make sure that, a lot of dealers have been keeping handwritten logs or logs on a spreadsheet, and making sure that that matches everything that's in your DMS, your lending system, your F&I menu. Because once all these deals get to accounting and get to the lenders for funding, we're going to have some challenges on our hands to make sure everything matches. The other thing I'll say is it's inevitable that some of these deals, we're going to have to get the customer back involved. We're going to have to re-sign some contracts. We're going to have to do some paperwork that maybe we couldn't do, depending on the state you're in, the lender you're working with, the OEM that you represent.
Sure.
And our message is really get flexible. Get flexible with your F&I processes. Get flexible with how you interact with customers. If you have to do things remotely, if the customer wants to do things remotely, there's no reason, why you can't do that, why you can't sign contracts, present menus. Even if you have to get in a car and go see a customer, just really get flexible and make it a good experience for them, which we see not only as a better experience for the customer, but a better experience for the dealer and a more profitable one.
Right, and it seems as though many consumers now know, because of all of the media coverage on this, that the dealership they're going into and doing business with, might have some troubles. And it seems as though the consumers might be a little bit more flexible and open-minded to coming back into the dealership or having somebody come by their home to have contracts signed or what have you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's I was talking to one of our associates who's out on the front lines working with dealers every day this morning, and I was asking, how much longer is the F&I process taking, through this outage and the dealers that are affected? And he said it's taking about twice as long. And I said, what's customers' response to it? And he said, honestly, they're pretty open to it and they're understanding. And I think it really points to, when you provide transparency and honesty and you're really upfront with the customer about what's going on, they're understanding.
Yeah, for sure. How has this impacted your virtual product that you've got for dealers? That still amazes me, but I think it's a pretty cool system that allows dealers to say, hey, we're extremely busy, or we've got somebody off, or what have you. JM&A jumps in virtually and delivers that vehicle. Has that had much of an impact on that?
It's definitely had an impact. A lot of the dealers that utilize that service also, were affected by this outage. And we've had to get, scrappy just like dealers have. And so where we were used to kind of this automatic integration where we received all the data, there's been a lot more phone calls, there's been a lot more manual data entry.
I bet.
But we're still facilitating F&I, we're still presenting menus, we're still securing financing and selling products. for our dealers.
Yeah, it looks like the numbers are starting to come in from June. Many of the manufacturers have posted numbers, and they're off. GM, Honda, Mazda, had gains. However, Honda, Kia, Nissan are some of the ones that lost sales opportunities. Sure. and deals out there, and they're pointing the finger at the CDK situation. How long do you think this will have a ripple effect into the industry?
I don't know for sure. I hope, not too long. I would like to think that a lot of those deals that we missed in June will pick up in July.
Yeah.
Because for two reasons. One, they just didn't get reported. They didn't get contracted, those sort of things. But, I think we also have to be realistic and realize we're going to be dealing with this for, throughout the month of July, at least, I think.
Yeah, for sure. As a vendor to the automotive community, are you guys putting any extra, any extra security measures in place because of this? Is this something that you say, wow, we've got technology and we're working with all of these dealers on our platform, and we got to make sure that this doesn't happen to us as much as we can?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's caused us and everybody else in the industry to really take a step back and look at everything we're doing and making sure that we are vigilant with our technology, with our processes, with how we're communicating.
Sure.
To make sure that we're protecting ourselves, dealers, and at the end, consumers in the best way that we can.
That's right, and I think it brings to the forefront how dependent we are as an industry on technology, right? I mean, it is. We've got to run our dealerships as efficient as we can, and technology is at the forefront of that. But it also puts us in some cases a very vulnerable position, right?
For sure.
Yeah, no question about it. Jonathan Jordan, Director of Retail Strategy at JM&A Group, one of the finest out there. So thank you so much. Really appreciate you spending some time with us at CVT.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks.
Thanks for watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.